Thank you for tuning in for Pet Week on Capitol Hill. I'm Clodovita, your Pet Week host. And for those of you joining for the first time, Pet Week on Capitol Hill is a series of virtual programming about the importance of pet ownership in America. Throughout the week, we'll learn all about new research and data, impactful programs, and pet-friendly policies that strengthen the human-animal bond and improve well-being for pets and the people that love and care for them. Pet Week is hosted by the Human-Animal Bond Research Institute, HABRI, a nonprofit research and education organization that works to advance the vital role of the human-animal bond in the health and well-being of people, pets, cultures, and communities. I'd like to take a moment and thank all of our Pet Week on Capitol Hill sponsors who make this programming possible. And a special thanks to this session's sponsor, Petco Love. Petco Love started in 1999 as the Petco Foundation, formalizing Petco's long-standing commitment to animal welfare. Millions of pets' lives saved later, they have never wavered from their mission to harness the power of love to make communities and pet families closer, stronger, and healthier. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our session speakers, Abbie Moore and Aaron Klein. As Chief Operating Officer, Abbie Moore oversees direct-to-consumer digital solutions that improve the lives of pets and the people who love them. After 18 years of senior leadership at adoptapet.com, Abbie joined Petco Love in 2022. And in addition to her passion for using technology to save pets' lives, she has a deep love of creating cultures in which people can thrive and be their best selves. As the head of product, Aaron Klein drives Petco Love's mission-focused digital strategy. Joining Petco Love in 2022, Aaron brings a wide range of product and operational leadership experience, working previously at Live Nation, Ticketfly, DirecTV, and adoptapet.com. And most recently at AdoptAPet, Aaron was CPO, helping millions of people adopt and rehome pets. Abbie and Aaron, thank you so much for being here. We cannot wait to hear you talk about reuniting lost pets with AI.
We are so happy to be here with you today. Thank you so much. And yes, this is what we're going to be talking about, reuniting lost pets with AI and how we can use technology for good to make real life-saving impact. So first of all, the lost pet problem, that's really what we're focusing on today. Why is the lost pet problem an area that we should really be focusing on? And we're going to be taking a look at why this is an area that is so ripe for impact. So first of all, when I talk about the lost pet problem, what is that? What is the lost pet problem and what is the scale? So before I jump into what's on this slide, I want to mention that 1 in 3 pets go missing during the course of their life. And we estimate that that's about 10 million pets in the United States every year that go missing. I'm going to talk on this slide about the shelter part of that equation. But as you can see, about 43% of the 6 million pets coming into shelters are classified as stray, which also often means lost. But there's another side of the problem. It's the community side. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's, all of the rest of those pets are being lost in the community. And from the pet parent perspective, anytime a pet goes missing, that's someone who's experiencing a lot of heartbreak and is panicking and really needs their pet back. So we want to keep those pets and those families together. But let's take a look at this. So as I mentioned, about half of the pets coming into shelters are stray, which often means lost. And when we look at what that means, that's the vast majority of pets that are coming into shelters. About 43% of pets coming into shelters are stray, lost. And once those pets go into the shelter, what happens? Well, when we take a look at this trend line, we see that it's about 23% of pets ever get returned back to their home once they enter the shelter. And by the way, when we look at this trend line, it's such a good illustration of the fact that the solutions that we've been using up until now and relying on are not working. And we can see that because we've been using the same solutions over time, and this trend line is actually moving in the wrong direction. That return to owner rate is getting a little bit lower over time. So, what are those solutions that we've been relying on that aren't working? Well, we've been working with microchips and we've been working with ID tags for a very long time and trying to spread the message to communities that those are important. And don't get me wrong, they are very important. We would always encourage people to microchip their pets and keep that microchip registration up to date with their current contact information, and always keep ID tags on their pets. But there are a couple of issues here. One is human behavior, and the other is timing. So, human behavior tells us a lot. We talk to people who lost their pets and we ask them if their pet was microchipped when they went missing, and if that microchip was registered and the contact information up to date. Only 27% of people say yes. On the ID tag side, when we ask people if their pet had an ID tag, almost all of them say yes, their pet has an ID tag. But when we ask them if their pet was wearing that ID tag when they went missing, 28% of dogs, 19% of cats were wearing their ID tag when they went missing. So, regardless of all the messaging that we've put out and trying to convince people that they need to keep ID tags on their pets and get that microchip up to date, it's not happening. So we need to face reality and really understand that a new solution is called for. And when we talk about the timing part of this, these two solutions, microchips and ID, they both have to be done prior to a pet going missing. By the time a pet goes missing, it's way too late to put a tag on. But we're going to talk about, and Aaron's going to talk about, a solution in a few minutes that can be done anytime by anyone. The good news, though, is the problem is quite solvable. And when we look at the national data, it averages out to this. If every community prevented just 2 lost pets from entering their local shelters every week, it would reduce intake to the extent that we would no longer have to euthanize healthy, adoptable pets in shelters. And that's really easy to do. That's 2 people who found a pet in the community choosing to try and find the pet's owner themselves instead of taking the pet into the shelter, or the field officer who comes to pick up a pet that's been reported as loose on the street, actually being able to and empowered by technology to bring that pet home rather than to the shelter. So if it's solvable, why haven't we solved it yet? You might be asking. Well, there was no centralized lost and found system where all lost pets and all found pets were going until now. There's a lot of different places for people to post to pets. There's a lot of options for people who are looking, and social media is still heavily used. It's all very fragmented and unreliable. But also, the responsibility for reuniting lost pets has really been put on the shoulders of our shelters. And what we need is to empower communities to partner with those shelters and to give those communities the right technology so that they can be part of the solution and not just depend on the shelter. I'm going to pass it over to Aaron to talk about the solution.
Thanks, Abbie. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I thought there was no better way to talk about the power of what Petco Love Lost is than through the story of Mike and Millie, who recently shared on CBS nationally about how they got back together.
She's just a year old, but Pitbull mix Millie has been through some things.
So I had left her with a friend who was going to dog sit for her for the weekend.
The same day, Michael Bone got word that Millie had slipped out of her collar during a walk in Lower Manhattan and bolted.
What was that like for you emotionally? Because she's a rescue dog, she's just very anxious. The only thing I was thinking was like she's trying to find me and like she doesn't know where I am.
As Bone rushed home to search, his mom uploaded a photo of Millie to Love Lost, a national lost and found database run by the nonprofit Petco Love. Within 14 hours, a call came. Millie had run 10 miles to Harlem, was hit by a car, and taken 15 miles further to a New Jersey hospital.
How does this little dog end up in Paramus, New Jersey?
The pet hospital had also uploaded Millie's picture to the same free site, which is run by donations. Here's how it works. Once photos are in the system, the pet photo matching technology identifies the pet's unique features. Everything from eye shape, whisker length, and unusual markings to even the curve of the tail. It collects as many as 512 data points, using artificial intelligence machine learning, searching for the closest matches. Since the AI analyzes anatomy, it can still recognize a pet even when its appearance changes dramatically after getting lost.
In the sheltering system, it's about 20% of lost pets will be reunited, which is simply not enough.
Suzanne Kogut runs the nonprofit. She says the site also pulls lost pet reports from social media posts to increase the odds of a match.
People used to put flyers on a telephone pole. Now we have that one virtual telephone pole in the system. Everyone put the flyers up there, and we're going to send these pets home.
Kogut says more than 3,000 animal shelters nationwide now participate in the program, which started in 2021.
What's dog's name?
Millie.
Wait, my dog's name is Millie.
Oh, really?
2 months after her ordeal and recovering from a broken leg, Millie is back on the street.
She likes to say hi to every single dog that we see on the walk, regardless of if they want to say hi to her. But she's doing really well.
There's always a concern that scammers could take advantage of people who've lost their animals. The nonprofit says if you use the site, beware of anyone who asks for money to return your pet, and limit your communications to the site's secure platform. For CBS Mornings, I'm Usher Qureshi.
I love that story about Mike and Millie. It describes the essence of what Petco Love Lost is, but there's so much more we can talk about. This is a really good example of how we can use technology for good, using AI to reunite pets. I also want to call out, this is a safe and free tool. It's free for the entire community, and we never charge anyone. It's also a universal solution. This is one of the rare situations where having a single solution is going to be the best solution. As many pets as we can get into our database, the most matches we're going to be able to make. And it works in every community. The only requirement is to have a pet photo. Let's talk a little bit more about the platform integrations that you heard in that video. People post their pets, lost and found pets, on social media all the time, and that can be helpful, but not everyone is on the same platforms. When anyone posts a lost or found pet on Nextdoor, or they post a lost and found pet on Neighbors, what ends up happening is that that pet post comes into Petco Love Lost, and it is searchable on our platform, right alongside the 3,100 shelters who are sending their pets to us as well. And so instead of somebody having to look at Nextdoor and Neighbors and maybe the 3 local shelters that they have to that are in their area, they can look in one place and have all of those pets in one location. This is truly trying to create that one central lost and found database. Now, anyone who's been on Facebook, and I haven't mentioned Facebook yet, may say, hey, Aaron, I always see Facebook posts about lost and found pets. Now, Facebook, unfortunately, doesn't have the same functionality to allow us to pull in all the lost and found pets through all the 5,000 active lost and found Facebook pages. However, we have created an entire list in our database that we know every single lost and found Facebook page in the US. And when you or anyone you know reports a lost and found pet through Petco Love Lost, within 2 clicks, we can drive you to the exact correct lost and found page that will help get your pet back home. So we understand that Facebook is still really valuable, and we make sure that your pet will get visibility on Facebook. There are other ways to search. Abbie was talking about giving the community tools to reunite animals. And these are really a great example. Not only do we have the image recognition, this AI-powered solution, we also have a map solution. So if I am somebody in my community who is a super user who is really interested in reuniting pets, I can use a map to see all the pets in my area that might need to be reunited. If somebody posted a picture on Nextdoor, or posted a lost or found pet on Nextdoor but didn't include a picture, that wouldn't show up on the AI image search, but it would show up here. And so it's a way to make sure that a secondary search, so you don't miss any of the potential reports of a lost or found pet. I also want to call out the microchip one. We said microchips are really important, and we believe that. However, information is not always up to date. Mike and Millie, not only do they match through the photo, but the vet and Mike both put the microchip number into Petco Love Lost, and they also matched on the number. And so this allows us to make sure we don't miss a match just because someone may have not updated the information. New match alert. So if somebody reports their pet, the pet may not have been found yet. And so what we make sure is that we don't want anyone to miss a match. So anytime a new pet comes in, we will search for the potential match, and we will text and email you within 60 seconds of when that pet entered the system if it is a potential match for your pet. We launched this last year and we increased our reunions 15%, which is huge. This is how many more animals we are getting home just by sending an additional text, by sending an additional email. This is something that has been really impactful for us. Okay, this one's big. We take the community's privacy and safety really seriously. How many times have you seen on your social media or on the news about somebody who was taken advantage of because their pet went missing and someone said they had their pet and would give it to them for a lot of money? It happens all the time. We don't want that to happen to the people who use Petco Love Lost. So our AI extends not just through the image recognition, but we are also using that same technology to monitor conversations that are happening in our app. And so if we see any bad actors who are trying to take advantage of people who lost pets, we warn the person of that potential bad actor. And in some cases, if we feel like they are really bad and we can tell that they're really bad, we will completely block them from being able to communicate to anyone in our system. So we always encourage people to stay on the application to communicate and reunite your pet without ever having to expose your private information. We talked a lot about the technology and everything that it can do. Petco Love Lost is also a place where you can create a search party and bring your community into a single platform to do the old traditional looking through the neighborhood, looking in the physical spaces. It can be overwhelming for one person to have the burden to do all of the things needed to reunite an animal. Well, with one click, you can invite more of your friends and family and neighbors into a single place, and you can divvy up the workload so everyone can participate in putting up posters, walking around the neighborhood, sharing to their social medias. And this is something that really reduces the labor for the pet parent and can increase reunions. So it is something that we're just about to launch, and we're super excited about it. I'm going to pass it over to Abbie now so you can talk about what Petco Love Lost can do to help shelters in your communities.
Yeah, we work with about 3,100 animal shelters nationally. That's the vast majority of major animal shelters in this country. And we work with them in a couple of different ways. First of all, we make sure that all of the pets in their care are automatically coming into the Petco Love Lost system. And that's because when people are searching for a pet, we want to make sure that if their pet's in the shelter, they're able to see them. That's especially important because in our research, we have found that of all of the things people do after they lose a pet, only 22% of them actually ever go to the shelter. So we need to make sure that if they're not going to the shelter, we're bringing the shelter to them. And we know that they're online, so this is a great way for us to do it. So that's one way that we work with shelters. The second way is by providing the shelter and the community a universal way to report lost and found pets. Before Petco Love Lost, people would contact their shelter and say, I lost a pet or I found a pet, and they would be asked to fill out a report. And sometimes that was just a piece of paper that went into a binder that sat in the lobby of the shelter. That's only good for one shelter. Instead of that, shelters are now telling their community to report their pet directly into Petco Love Lost, which means all of the shelter pets, all of the pets that are on the platforms that Aaron talked about, all of the reports that people have filed directly into Petco Love Lost, those are all in that one universal system, and that image recognition technology is making matches between all of them all the time. So not only does that mean that it's more effective and faster at making reunions happen, but it also takes some of the labor off of the shelter staff. A lot of shelters have people who are spending hours every week trying to manually find matches for the pets that are in their care. We take that off of them and we do that for them automatically, which allows them to repurpose that staff time for things that further life-saving in other ways. And we know that animal shelters, like all of us, are very low on resources these days. So it's really important for us to help them maximize that. This is a case study that I'll talk about really quickly of a community that started to use Petco Love Lost for all of their reporting, that central reporting tool. This is Pima Animal Care Center in Tucson, Arizona. They launched a pilot where they empowered people who were bringing found pets into the shelter instead to take those pets home and try to reunite them using Petco Love Lost. And 25% of their community intake was reduced. They reduced community stray intake by 25%, and they doubled their community reunion rate, which is incredible. Now, let's pivot a little bit and talk about disasters, because that is something that is on all of our minds as we head into hurricane season. Petco Love Lost can be incredibly important and has shown to be very important during times of disasters. In the aftermath of a disaster, often people are panicked, missing their pets, they're heartbroken, and honestly, there can be a lot of chaos happening. We are reliant on shelters primarily to help facilitate those reunions after a disaster. And that's very dangerous because the shelter's part of the community and has also been affected by whatever disaster has occurred. So they might be underwater. They might be just overwhelmed with people reporting lost and found pets. They might not exist. So we are really trying to empower the community with our tools at Petco Love Lost to reunite pets without the shelter if that happens. So we are also a member of NARSC, the National Animal Rescue and Sheltering Coalition, which is made up of all of the national organizations that do search and rescue. We work closely with them. And we've been very visible in some recent horrific disasters, including the Los Angeles fires, the overwhelming floods in Texas, and Hurricane Helene. In Los Angeles, all of the county and the city shelters used Petco Love Lost as their central reporting tool. And even the sheriff's department got up at a press conference and advised all of the citizens who had lost pets to make sure they were posting in Petco Love Lost. And we saw these images in that video earlier, but I wanted to explain what we're seeing. On the right, you see the aftermath of the Los Angeles fires. This poor cat was terribly burned. And on the left, you see the image that their owner uploaded to Petco Love Lost. And even though this pet's appearance was drastically altered by burns, we still were able to make that reunion happen and give people who had really lost everything the gift of being able to see their beloved pet again.
So what can you do now that you know so much about Petco Love Lost? We have already had over 100,000 reunions. We're up to over 120,000 reunions. We want you to be a part of the next 100,000 all the way to 1 million. So you can register your pet up ahead of time on Petco Love Lost and be proactive. Share with everyone you know about Petco Love Lost. Encourage them to sign their pets up. We hope nothing ever happens, but be prepared. Also encourage your shelters and those who are responsible for emergency response in your areas to educate themselves about Petco Love Lost so they can be prepared when emergencies happen, or every day is an emergency with lost pets, especially with the shelters. And finally, Petco Love Lost can't exist without smart policies that can modernize animal sheltering. And so continue to support policies that can enable us to do the work that we do. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Wow. I am really heartstruck and amazed by everything you just shared. And it's super clear that your work to reunite lost pets with their families has made an incredible impact and can make so much more of an impact. So, of course, here this week, Pet Week on Capitol Hill, what do we want Congress to know? What policies come into play? How can we, bring this full circle to this particular week and being here on the Hill with Congress?
That's a great question. When I think about it, I think about all the elements that animals need to go through to get back home. And when we think about whether it's a rural area or low-income communities, we need low-cost transport and low-cost access, digital access. When we talk to communities, they say, Aaron, it's great, but not everyone I even know has a smartphone. How are they able to use it? There are ways that we are solving for that, but it's really great for policies that really empower communities to have access to transport and digital access. The third thing is we talked a lot about disaster response. Lost pet response needs to be included in disaster preparedness plans. This is a big important thing. It shouldn't be secondary. And when it comes to the power of Petco Love Lost, you don't need to feel bad about promoting something like that to your community because it is free. It is at no charge and it works. And so that is like the other piece that I think I always see lagging when a disaster happens. And so those are my three that I would bring up.
All so important. And I think this is a really great moment to push that forward and get more people listening and doing things about it. So when we think about that, so that's, Congress, the Hill, communities, but there's also the idea of the veterinarian. Maybe it's not an idea, it's a fact. People go to their vet, they check their vet, they microchip scan at their vet. The veterinarians are very involved. Abbie, how are you working with veterinarians?
It's a great question. We work closely with veterinarians, and we need to get the word out more to veterinarians. Our research indicates that in the journey that pet parents take after they lose a pet, or even after they find a pet, the veterinarian is a big part of that. So after they search their neighborhood, after they post online, they are calling their veterinarian, they're calling local veterinarians, trying to figure out if maybe the pet they found belongs to one of their clients, or if it's their own pet that they lost, calling the veterinarian to ask what to do. So we saw this with Mike and Millie in that video, that the pet was taken across state lines to a veterinarian. And it was the veterinarian who scanned the pet for the microchip and entered the microchip number in and helped to make that reunion happen. So it's so important for veterinarians. I know they want to help their community so much. And when they get a call from someone saying, oh my gosh, I lost my pet, we love to give them a tool that they can then pass along to their community rather than just saying, well, I guess you can come and put a flyer on the wall. This is something that they can really proactively promote that is helpful.
Yeah, that is so true, and such a good pairing. It feels so right. So I have to, because there's pet parents watching, pet lovers who want to help, because we know how much pets are part of the family. And Petco Love Lost is another service, and yet it's a different service. So talk a little bit more specifically about what sets it apart from maybe some of the other services people see out there.
Do you want me to take this, Abbie?
Go ahead.
Okay. That is, I mentioned the free part, which is great. We do this because we know that it can impact every community and help save animals' lives, and it's a worthwhile investment. The advantage that we have is that, again, we are the only ones who are plugging into these social media platforms and to almost every major shelter. And so, when we have a true database of pets, we meet it. We have over 3.5 million pets coming into our database every year. And so if your pet goes missing, it at some point is going to be running through the Petco Love Lost system. The AI is great, and that really allows us to reduce, that's a lot of pets to review. And it really reduces the cognitive overhead. So you only have to look at the pets that actually could be your pet. But we do it in a way that is really convenient and empowers you. And we give you the tool, not only you the tools, but your shelter the tools, and people in your community the tools to help reunite your pets. And so for us, we feel like we have the right amount of data and the right tools to really impact the communities and move the needle on pet reunification.
Yeah, and I feel like that is so important, because somebody who just lost a pet isn't thinking about like the to-do list. They're just freaking out, wanting to know, like, how do I get my pet back?
Exactly. We're here to be your calm during your storm.
Amazing. And where can people go, find out more, learn more, get information, download the app? Is it just in the App Store? What specifically should people do to get it?
Just online. It's petcolovelost.org. And I want to reiterate, it is free. It's free for everyone. Free for everyone to use, always will be. We want to make sure that cost is not a reason why people do not reunite with their pets. There are no premium features in it. It is the same great level of service for everybody for free.
All right, as we are wrapping up here, what would you each like to leave everyone with? What's the final thing you want to share? Abbie, I'll start with you, and then Aaron, you can chime in.
When we take a step back, there's this systemic way to look at this problem where we look at how it affects animal shelters and everything. But at its core, this is a human issue. This is an issue of where if we care about American families and we care about keeping the family together, the pet is a part of that family. And for every one of those 120,000 pets that we've reunited, for every one of those 3 million lost pets that goes into shelters, there's an owner and a family that is devastated. And I was once one of those families. I was once one of those people who lost a pet, and it was absolutely devastating to me. And I never want anyone else to go through what I went through. So let's have some compassion for pets as part of families, and really we're here to help.
Yeah, double down on that. And, we often have trouble solving problems when that problem can have a lot of shame and a lot of challenges with the feeling of losing a pet. We know that not only does everyone love their pet, but they also are human who might, forget to put their collar on or, forget to update their microchip because they are busy with life trying to do the best they can. And this is a place where we feel you should not feel any shame. You should also not feel any hubris that it'll never happen to you. We should be proactive and we should be planning for something that we hope never happens. And the Petco Love Lost is really the place for you.
So much heart in all of that. Thank you, Abbie and Aaron, for your time today and your dedication to keeping pets and their families together and strengthening that human-animal bond. And thank you again to our session sponsor, Petco Love. Pet Week is made possible through the generosity of our sponsors who are dedicated to sharing information about the importance of pets and the human-animal bond for people and communities across America. Please join us for more sessions this week by visiting petnight.com or Habri's Facebook page. And on behalf of Habri and all of our sponsors, thank you for watching and see you next time.